so much for having me here.
I think Gary's going to give an introduction and some rules for our going forward here.
Got it.
Yeah, so everybody else put yourself on mute, and if you have questions or comments, put them in the chat box and we will relay them to Katie as they come in. Otherwise, it's all yours.
Okay, excellent. Let me pull up some slides first while I start to chat a little bit with you all. Let's see, I think I'm going to go this way. As everyone see this okay?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So like I said, I'm Katie Anchin. I'm the executive director here at the Museum of Contemporary Art, Arlington. I've lived in Arlington for 15 years. And so when the position came open early 2021, I had been working for the Smithsonian, and I was having sort of that pandemic moment where I thought, okay, what can I do sort of in Arlington, for the community that I live in? And my background is in museum studies and art history. And so I've worked in a number of art museums throughout my career. And my skill set, or what I've been trained to do, is basically art museum fundraising, communications, and some of the business operations for running an art museum. So when I took this position in May of 2021, I met with the board, and one of the challenges was low visibility. And so we started to do a lot of research and thought, okay, well, what is it that is preventing people from coming inside? And so that started this new endeavor to pursue a rebranding exercise and a new visual identity. So our mission is still the same. We connect the community to contemporary art and artists, and that's not specific to just local. So we often show local exhibitions, regional, national, and sometimes international too. Let's see here. I do have a picture of the building. Has everyone seen this building? Probably. So as you know, the Morey School was built in 1910, and it operated as an elementary school here until 1973. Our most famous alumni that I've heard so far are Shirley MacLaine and Warren Beatty. But if anybody else knows any others, let me know. So when the school closed in 73, a year later, a group of artists were coming together, and they really wanted to create an organization that would connect the community with contemporary art and artists, and provide not only exhibition space, but gallery space and studio space for them to work. And so we were founded in 1974, and this was a surplus building. And so the artists had pursued getting the building from the county. And so the county lent it to them starting in 1976. So we've been operating here since that time. But one of the things about this building is it's beautiful. There's not a whole lot of signage, and it's not immediately obvious that it has 9 galleries, 2 art making classrooms, and 10 studios for artists in it. And so what a lot of people who know about us are familiar with are actually the Tiffany windows, or perhaps this entry atrium. If you live in the neighborhood, this is probably your voting place. Maybe you've been here for a special event or a neighborhood party as well. In the atrium, we're really trying to engage people and have people interact with art. And so this is actually a current installation that's on view now by one of our resident artists named Emily Fessner. And the idea is that she writes poetry, and then she has her poems cut into these acrylic panels, and then they're installed, as you can see, upside down and in reverse. So when the sun reflects, the words actually reflect onto the floor. And so we've seen a lot of visitors interact with it, like this gentleman here on the right. And so that's kind of a fun entrance for us. But back to the Tiffany windows. So in the 2000, our building was closed, and we went through a capital campaign to increase its size. And this was part of the addition. This Tiffany Gallery is actually a great venue where we've had a lot of weddings, we've had a lot of retirement parties, corporate meetings, and we use it as a space for public programming, some of our workshops, certainly pick up and drop off for summer camp and other things throughout the year. Additionally, we have three core sort of program areas. Exhibitions are one of the key drivers for us to bring audiences in. As I mentioned before, we're showing local through international artists here, and that's very intentional. We really want to make sure that local artists and regional artists have a place to show their work. We're considered a launch pad, which is so exciting. We've started a lot of artist careers here. We're one of the first places that some artists will have their first show, maybe their third show, and then they continue on and have really great, fantastic careers past us. But one of the key programs that we offer are artist talks. And this is really a chance for the public to meet a living artist and really understand why something was made or how it was made. And so that interpersonal dialogue is really important to us. And I think when you come and have a tour with us, which I hope you all will come and meet some of our curators, you'll see the art becomes more engaging, I think, in many ways when you can hear a story about it as well. In addition, a second core area is our Artist in Residence program. And some of you may have met some of our resident artists. A lot of them live in Arlington. A lot of them work in Arlington as well. These artists have 24-hour access to their studio here. And so they're able to create new work. We've often seen their practice shift, which is really exciting. And then they open their studios to the public 4 times a year. And help explain, what their practice is, what they're currently working on, and where they may be exhibiting soon. And oftentimes, people stopping in will also want to buy their work, which we think is great because these artists are basically running their own small business. This gives them a lot of opportunity for growth. In addition, they get to have an exhibition here twice during their residency, and we do artist talks with them as well and produce publications for them. This is one of our resident artists, Stephanie Lane. These works over here on the side, she calls these her Insanity series, and actually they're made with liquid tar. And so she heats up the tar on a little hot plate and gets it to a consistency where it can drip. And then she does the same motion over and over, but gets different results. And so it's called her Insanity series because Einstein was the one who said insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So we think that's kind of clever on her part.
Katie, we've got a couple of questions.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know who owns the building and the grounds? Is it the county or?
Yeah, so we lease the building from the county and we're nestled within the county park. And so we also work with the historical preservation group as well with the county. So I want to say there are probably 5 different offices we interact with at the county level, but they own our building. We lease it from them, but we are an independent nonprofit. And so, we fundraise and offer classes to help our revenue to support everything we do.
Well, that was the second question was
okay.
what kind of, or where do you get your funding? How does?
Yeah, so the majority of our funding is through fundraising, and the other portion of it comes from art making classes for kids and adults in our summer camp program, which, as Nita said, is award-winning so far this year, which is great. And then, we write grants and try and get as many grants as possible, and we rent the facility, for both private and corporate events, and Excellent. So our art making classes are an important source of revenue for us, but they're also fundamental, we think, for the community because the principles and foundation of creativity actually help people solve challenges later in life too. And so we think that arts education and art making classes, regardless of your age, will help you not only with those fine motor skills, but also with some of that brain development. It's good exercise, it gets you thinking, and it may help inspire and keep you active. And so we do offer classes for kids and adults. We just posted our winter sessions. We're offering some during the week, during the day. So if anyone is retired and looking for something to do, please join us. We also have some evening classes and some weekend workshops as well. We learned over the last year too that, strength is really in partnering. And Marymount University has been really kind to us and is letting us use their ceramics studio. And so we've been able to finally offer ceramics classes again. I think maybe we offered them in the 80s. And then we had a period of time where we weren't offering them because we don't have space for a ceramics studio in our building, nor a kiln. But this is such a great exercise for kids and adults. And so this is basically a wheel throwing class, or hand building if you prefer that. I took it last summer, and I have to say, I had never taken ceramics before. It's very challenging, but very rewarding by the end, although my pieces need some work. So I definitely encourage you to pursue ceramics if you're interested in sort of the 3D material.
Where is the Marymount Ceramics Studio located?
Yeah, so it's at the main campus on Glebe Road, near Country Club Hills. And so it's fantastic facility. I mean, they have enough for 10 students at the same time to be learning and working. And it's right near the soccer field. So during summer, it's fantastic because you can kind of walk outside and appreciate the nice air and enjoy
I have
it.
another question. Why did you choose contemporary art? And what does that include, or what is contemporary art composed of?
Yeah, that's a great question. So contemporary art is really the art of our time when you boil it down. I didn't choose contemporary art for this place, but I've always been drawn to it. So when we were founded, contemporary art was really central to that founding. We're one of the only art museums founded by contemporary artists in our region, which is pretty amazing. When you think about the role of arts, contemporary art really today especially shows a lot of what's happening in society around us. It's also really innovative, and it's a field, it's a global field. And so in my previous work, I had been working at the African Art Museum for Smithsonian. And so I would travel and get to see some really fantastic artists and collections. And what's amazing to me is showing sort of the international and local together in balance. You can really see Arlington's position in this global sector, and we're really strong. We have a lot of talent here. We have a lot of artists who I am fully confident will go on to have fantastic careers. One of the things we want to make sure that happens is that the community understands the powerhouse that we kind of are in the field. And so this is why we started to pursue this rebrand too, which I have a few slides on that as well, is because we thought, okay, we know we're really strong in the field. We know that the community, the people in the community who know us, love us. How do we get more people in the door? And that's really what it boiled down to from there.
So we have another question. They've heard that the Lee Community Center is no longer available for art and studio uses. Do you have any contact with Parks and Rec or the 55 plus program managers? Is it possible that MoCAA Arlington could be a new venue for those kinds of classes and activities?
Yeah, I mean, we're always developing more relationships with the county, and the Lee Art Center is such a great venue for those studio spaces. And so I know the county is kind of working through some of the facility challenges there as well, but we are in conversation with a lot of people. And for us, we want as many people to be as creative as possible, and we want artists to feel supported. And so we're willing to do whatever we can, within our budget to make it happen. So, yeah, so I'm optimistic about the future. I'm going to continue on some of our slides, but please keep asking questions because these are all really relevant to everything I have here. One of the other things we're doing for our younger members of the community is a lot of school partnerships. And so during the pandemic, actually, Carlin Springs is elementary is one of our premier schools that we've done a lot of after school enrichment activities with. We have a great relationship with the art instructors there. And so we created a mural with them. And what we did was we sent each student home with one of these little wood discs, and they decided on space as a theme. And so each student painted these during the pandemic at home, and then they brought them into the school, and we helped install this mural in the school, which we thought was a great way for them to feel some pride in the work they have, and can help show their parents and the other teachers, how committed they are to the arts, which we think is important. We also do a lot of special public programs. And if you've driven by, this is our Dia de los Muertos evening picnic in the park, which we've done a few times now. And it's a great opportunity for the neighborhood to come by, bring their own picnic, or we have a food truck nearby serving Mexican cuisine. And we have mariachi and dancers and lights. And it's just a really nice night for the community to come together. We do want to activate the lawn more. You may have seen art installations in the lawn. We do plan to do more of that. There's an artist here today who's actually building something. So that should be ready in the next week or two. And, I think for us, we love it when people come together around the arts. It provides such a great venue. You start to see people having conversations and interacting with it, and it just adds to a vibrant community. Maybe it adds to that happiness factor too, now that I'm thinking about that.
You talked about partnering with schools. Yeah. Do you have any grant funding directed toward art programs or services for seniors?
Yeah, we're working on that actually. And, that is growing our programming for the senior audience is a priority. And so I would love to have a conversation with any of you to kind of figure out how we may be able to do that. Right now, the extent of our senior programming is really offering the classes, during the day, during the week. But we're certainly open to tours. We often do free tours for community groups. We do free curator tours every Friday at noon. But I'm really interested in partnering. So definitely, anybody here is more than welcome to call or email me, and we can chat further about that. So one of the other programs we did earlier this year was a teen sneaker event. And so you may have seen people like to paint sneakers. It's customizing your own sneakers is a thing. And so we did an open call for teen artists from around the area. And we had 25 artists, teenagers come through, and they did a special workshop with 6 contemporary artists from our region. And they learned how to customize sneakers. And then the next day we opened up to the public, and anybody could bring in a pair of shoes for the teens to paint. We even had Cassius Winston, he's an NBA basketball player here on the right, stop by with a pair of shoes. And so that was a really fun thing for the kids. The news, WUSA 9 came to cover it as well. And what it really showed us was that we are really rich in terms of creative resources here. There's a lot of interest to connect people with other disciplines, and youth between the ages of 11 to 17, 18, they often don't have a lot of resources to pursue their creativity because their school schedule may be busy, right? Or they have to choose between art or sports or, a whole host of things. And so we really want to keep people actively engaged in creative making so that as they grow into adults, they have sort of a great foundation as they pursue careers in other disciplines even. Other activities we do, the Made in Arlington program that's run through the county, where Arlingtonians who live or work here and make items can come and sell their stuff. And so this is one of the artisans. She's a really talented knitter, and she had a great time earlier this fall on our opening day. And so it's nice for the community to support these local artisans and purchase items as well. And then the image here on the right is we're starting to do yoga in the galleries. which again, the Tai Chi group, if you're looking for indoor space, this is certainly an option, but we're offering a yoga for creative minds on Saturday morning, starting in January again. And it's a really great flow session where afterwards you take about 5 to 10 minutes and you may sketch or write or just kind of think through, sort of the movements and feel stimulated in that way. Like I said, we really like to bring people together through other disciplines. We recognize that contemporary art may be intimidating. And so the vision for our space here is to make it really warm and accessible. I hope that if you do come in here, you'll see somebody and somebody will welcome you and smile. And if you have questions, somebody's always happy to help answer those questions or even lead you around the building. So here is an example of earlier this year, we tested jazz in the galleries. And so we asked jazz musicians to come in and improvise music in response to the works on the walls. And this was a great experiment. We had such a great time doing this. And so we intend to do this again soon. But it just shows that a lot of people are interested in both.
Got a comment here. Congratulations on the rebranding. As past vice chair of the board, she's thrilled with the work you're doing and wants to reach out and have a conversation with you on some ideas. And she also added that apparently Willard Scott attended the Morey School.
Really? That's amazing. On all fronts, that's amazing. I
and
really look forward to that.
Question, how about tactile art for the blind?
Oh, that's a fantastic idea. Yeah, definitely. I think, one of the things that we're doing now is building capacity, right? So when I started, I was the third full-time employee. And so, during the pandemic, our budget really was significantly impacted. So we're again building back. So we've added a few new positions and we're definitely interested in growing the programming. And I love the idea of the tactile art, especially for like hand building with clay. That's fantastic. So thank you. And I look forward to connecting further. One other thing that we've been doing is a collectors program. And this is to really show people that you can support artists by purchasing art, visiting their studios, engaging them in conversations. But how we do this, we offer virtual programming. So these are Zoom webinars where I'll be in conversation with a local collector or even a national collector. And we just kind of talk through how they get started, what kind of artists they like to support, why they support artists in this way. And it's just really interesting. You learn a lot about the field of contemporary art, but you also learn a lot about people's personal passions, which makes it really interesting. We're updating our YouTube page, and so we will have those up over time. There are a few there right now, if anyone's interested.
I have a question here. How do we sign up to get announcements of events? It sounds like there's so much going on there, and most of it I was unaware of. I'm sure that's true for most of us.
Yeah, that's great. So you can go to our website, and if you on our homepage, if you scroll to the bottom, there's a little bar that says sign up for emails, and that's probably the best way. But if anybody here wants to email me, I can put my email in the chat and just send me a note, and I'm happy to have our team add you to the email as well.
Yeah, and if you could put your website in the chat as well.
I definitely will do that. Here, I'll do that after. Multitasking. This photo here is another example of the collectors program. And so we'll do some exclusive behind the scenes opportunities. In this particular one, we rented a bus and we brought a group of people up to 2 galleries in Maryland. And so people had an opportunity to really see what's happening in the contemporary art field from Latin America, which is really exciting. Now to the rebrand, the name change. So the big reason why we decided to change the name was because we did a year's worth of research. And what the research showed was that the word center, our previous name was Arlington Art Center, didn't really convey to the public what happens inside the building. So if you were driving by or walking by, you might think, oh, that's not a place for me. Oh, it must be an art school. Oh, maybe it's the county offices. it was very ambiguous. And so we wanted to be really intentional to both people who live here, but people who are visiting here from other areas. This is a museum. And when you translate that word in most places, people understand that's a place they can go to see something. And so for us, it was also really important to start using the word contemporary art, because we didn't want to be vague in terms of like the type of art we're showing. Contemporary art is a range of media. It can be everything from sculpture to textiles to painting, photography. But what it says is this is art from recent time, art from your lifetime. And as the contemporary art field changes, so does this organization, which is really exciting. We worked with a branding agency who provided us pro bono services for this rebrand, and we certainly could not have done that without them. We did a brainstorming session and we said to them, we're a launch pad. We're really dynamic. We want to convey to people that we are a place they can come to see something really exciting, get inspired. And so the firm came back with this concept of using the M, because in Arlington, everything starts with Arlington, everything has an A. And we wanted to stand out a little bit. So we decided to highlight the M here. And you'll see that the lines in the M are kind of similar to the roof lines as well in that first image that I showed you. Also, it kind of has this forward momentum and this energy. And it looks like you might be able to launch off of this. And so a lot of this is conveyed graphically through that visual identity. And we're starting to use the new brand. We have merchandise. So we now have hoodies and coffee mugs for sale. And we've been able to sort of use it throughout the building as well. We changed our name the last week of September, and so we reopened to the public on October 1st. But that week of the launch, we got local news, in Arl Now, and we also got international news in the art newspaper, which is one of the most respected international publications in the arts today. And so it was fantastic for us to have sort of this wide recognition and a lot of support. And so we've heard from a lot of people saying they really appreciate it. We have heard from a lot of people saying they had no idea what happened in the building. And one of my favorite things is when people come in and say, I've lived here for 30 years or 40 years and I've never been inside. And so it's a really great opportunity to say, we've been in this community and, welcome and get to know us, because we have a lot of exciting things happening. So on our launch day, we had lots of tours of our current exhibitions, and we did some art making. And so there was this great collage that we did with the community as well for the new logo. We even partnered with Northside Social, and they offered a mocha latte for us. And so they took our logo and created a stencil. And so they were offering that during our lunch week. And then we have, new signage throughout the building, which was really fantastic. One of the things we're doing in the future too is our MoCAA on the Move program. And this is really outreach to organizations, neighborhoods, different community venues, and we'll bring the art making activity to you. And so this is a great way for us to connect you with an artist who's leading that activity. You can ask questions, and then you can get together and sort of create. And we see this as an extension of sort of, we know we're within this facility within Virginia Square, but how can we help more people in the community beyond our facility? And so this is sort of the future that we're planning to do. So if anyone here is interested in that, just let me know. And then this ties back to those fundraising questions that we had earlier. Financial support, that's what we need. That's how we do these programming. That's how we grow. We offer free admission for everyone, and that's very intentional, and we plan to continue to do that. And so I'd so much rather have people experience the art at no cost than charge, because I think that's the strength that we provide to the community. So
I have a question here. Is sculptor Sham still associated with the museum?
Yeah, he's a great friend of the museum. We have such a good relationship with him, and he's a great example of somebody who was here in our residency program, fantastic member of the faculty at Maryland. And you can see his work nearby here in Oakland Park, actually. But his career has been tremendous, which is so fun for us to watch. But now what's even better is he's training future sculptors. And so that sort of expertise is now carrying on to future generations, which is also really important.
We had a question or comment earlier, somebody that apparently was at your Dia de los Muertos outdoor thing and absolutely loved it. So.
Oh, thank you. Great. I'm so glad. And, I think there's something so magical about our lawn and the evening and bringing people together, especially with lights and music and art.
I have a question here. What's the museum's staffing?
Yeah, small. So there are 6 of us. And so we have 2 people on our education team. We have a curator of exhibitions who organizes our main level exhibitions usually. We have another curator who's managing the artist residency program and the collectors program. And then in addition to that, we have an operations manager. We also have a visitor service associate who's part-time with us. And so he's often at the front desk and helping out whenever we can. And then we contract with event rentals as well.
How much do the classes that you've talked about cost?
Yeah, it ranges. So our one-day workshops are anywhere from, maybe $40 to $75, depending on the medium and the material and the supplies. And then our 8-week instructor-led sort of intense classes are usually about 2 to 3 hours in session. And those will range from, anywhere from, I want to say like 200 to maybe 285, 300, depending. Our ceramics program is a little bit more expensive because the clay and the materials are just really costly. So that will be a little bit more.
I have a question here. Do you know Sushmita Mazumdar?
Yes, we do. And another great friend of the museum. And stay tuned because this summer we're actually going to be working with the Columbia Pike documentary project. And Sushi is a really big part of that project as well. They will be one of our featured exhibitions here this summer.
Yeah, we had her for a hands-on coffee and conversation a couple of years ago.
Oh, wonderful. I admire her so much. What she's doing for the community is amazing.
Are there volunteer opportunities at the museum?
Yeah, we need lots of help. We don't have a volunteer coordinator yet. And so that is sort of a future position that I hope we will be able to have. But often we need help putting together supply kits before summer camp, organizing spaces and closet spaces. We're kind of going through the building now, figuring out what we might need. Our 50th anniversary will be in 2024, and we're going to need help, putting together that history and helping us, kind of figure out how we want to recognize that monumental moment. So definitely reach out if you're interested in helping, and we'll figure out the right project for you.
What hours and days are you open to the public?
Yeah, so we're open to the public Wednesdays through Sundays, 12 to 5. Now, that being said, we also often stay open for extended hours, which we'll post through our emails or on social media. We also, if you have a group or you and, family coming in from out of town on a Monday or Tuesday, just email me or call me, and I'm happy to be here and open up the building too. So we try and make it as accessible as possible.
And this question, what hours do you have for volunteers on the weekends?
On the weekends, yeah, it would be, project based. So I would say we don't have anything like at set hours, but I do anticipate that we will need extra people to help us with the front desk, the visitor services desk on the weekends. And so that is definitely an area we want to grow. certainly this winter and spring. So that would probably be, in the afternoon time frame. Often we're also, coming in on the weekend to get ready for workshops or prepare the classrooms and things like that as well. So.
Yeah, I have a senior that doesn't see well, but she could be welcoming. If somebody worked with her or something there, would that work?
Yeah, that'd be great.
And she speaks French, so like.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, you get multicultural people. I'm assuming that would really be nice for her.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
I'm gonna talk to her daughter.
Yeah, our philosophy is the more the merrier. So.
Okay. Oh, good. So you have room for 2 helpers, like.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Definitely. You're welcome.
And we've got a suggestion here that you might want to consider better signage outside of what your hours are. I know, you have to walk all the way up to the front door to figure out whether you're open or not.
The signage is the biggest puzzle in Arlington County. But we are working on improving our signage, working with zoning, historical preservation, as well as cultural affairs. And so everybody within the county has been very supportive of our signage dilemmas. But yes, definitely the open hours and making sure that everything is pretty easy to find out. Completely agree.
Of historical preservation, who's responsible for maintaining the building and its aging components?
There have been many parts of the building that have aged since I've been here. But on the exterior, Arlington County really helps us maintain the building and the grounds because it is a public park. Their facilities team is really helpful for making sure that, if the gutter is separating from the building, they'll help repair all of that as well. And then on the interior, we're responsible for a lot of the interior space, but the county also pitches in and helps us with the HVAC system and things like that.
Okay, I've got a question or comments. Said, you seem like a terrific person for this job. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Ohio originally. So I grew up in Napoleon, Ohio, which is a small town southwest of Toledo. And so I've always been really interested in art. I made art when I was younger and was really fortunate to sort of have that experience. And I went to college then at Syracuse University. And so that's where I really kind of started to explore everything and landed on art history for my undergrad. And then I stayed there for museum studies as well. And I will say, I feel like I've lived in Arlington a long time. And then I always meet somebody who's like, oh, nope, 15 years, that's nothing. And so it's been really great to sort of become a part of the community even deeper. I have kids who go to elementary school here. And so it definitely feels like home for us.
And can you put your contact info in the?
Sure.
Yeah, it's in the chat.
Yeah, do it again, will you, Katie?
Yep, no problem.
I think we're getting ready to wrap here. Any other questions, Gary? That we had them coming in quite regularly here, Katie. Excellent presentation.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah, you brought to us a lot of information about a building that we often pass and think, I wonder what's going on in there. So
yeah, well, please step in. We offer 4 seasons of exhibitions. So our current shows are going to be on view through end of January, and then we'll open new shows February 11th. So
very good.
Are you seeing an increased response from the neighborhood? More people coming in since the rebranding?
Definitely. Even, we have an apartment complex across the street, and we've had a number of people who live there who have said, I've lived across the street and had no idea. And so it's really nice to kind of see that it's making an impact. We just met with the Arlington Tourism and Convention Services group as well. And so they're excited about, future collaboration. And so it's good to have the visibility, and I hope that improves with some of these outreach programs we plan to do. And, you'll definitely, I have no doubt that when you come into the building, you will see something that's inspiring.
I was going to mention right before the pandemic, the Central Library opened a maker space with 3D printers and tools and all kinds of stuff. Are you guys working with them on anything?
Yeah, we're actually going to start talking with them about that because one of our artists in residence is now managing that space. And so just by coincidence, it's really working out that there's lots of opportunity here. I don't know if you can hear, but the leaf, the landscapers are here blowing the leaves. So.
Comment here that they really miss the art studio at Lee Center and hope that you can work something out with the county. I said, I'm a total amateur, but I really enjoyed having that available.
Yeah, definitely. The more facilities we have for art making, the better. But in the meantime, feel free to check out some of our programs and classes and get involved. We'd love to have you part of the family here.
And you had a slide showing mugs and hoodies and t-shirts. Are those, you just go into the art center? There's some place where those are for sale?
Yeah, so this week we have our pop-up holiday store. We've had a sort of all month. We are going to put it online in January so that it'll be available if you want to purchase online and pick up. But yeah, just pop in and tell somebody that you're interested in purchasing, and they'll help get you set up for that.
Wow.
We also have some really great ceramics right now too. So if you need some last minute holiday gifts, the Marymount University faculty and students, we have some of their designs for sale as well. And baskets by Carol Patch. I don't know if any of you are familiar with her work. She also lives in Arlington, but makes these beautiful baskets out of willow.
Very good. Well, Katie, you are open today from 12 to 5
Yep.
and through now. Are you closing on Saturday, or are you going to be open on Saturday?
We're going to be closed on Saturday, and actually we close next week to give our staff a break. And so we will be back in the offices, and the galleries will be open then in the new year, starting on that Wednesday. So you have 3 days to visit.
Very good.
Time
12,
to celebrate.
12
Yeah.
to 5.
12 to
And
5.
it's excellent parking. You've got free parking right
Free
next.
parking right across from the Virginia Square Metro, and right on the bus route as well. So
I would ask you for a special dispensation to go do our Tai Chi on Tuesday morning this coming week at 9:30 in the Tiffany room, but sounds like you're closed.
we won't be here. Yeah. But the following week.
Well, David, Christian, and I coordinate that. We'll be in touch. How's that?
Okay, that sounds good.
This was excellent.
Anita, speaking of parking, we had a question early on about where people should park or can park for the thing at the Jefferson next week.
It's complicated. So I am going to post that on the ANV Next Door group, like on Monday next week, because it's quite detailed. But meanwhile, if anybody wants to put an email message saying they want that information, it's really long. I can forward the email I have from the Jefferson about it.
Okay.
We are not doing coffee and conversation on Zoom next week. It's just in person. We're managing through Charlie King at the Jefferson to have coffee and real food and real people. So that's all we can do for the first time since 2020. So we're getting ready to welcome 2023. Anything else, Gary?
Comment, wonderful information. Thank you.
Yeah. So we will thank Katie for joining us today, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday. We're hunkering down for cold weather this weekend, but thanks to everybody for joining us. And this was, as often is the case, really interesting information.
Thanks so much for inviting me, and happy holidays, everyone.
let's stay in touch.
Yes.
Bye-bye.